There's something deeply uncomfortable about watching The Devil Wears Prada. And don't get me wrong, it's not because Miranda is terrifying or because the fashion industry is brutal. It's something much quieter and much more fundamental than that. I realized that maybe not a single person in this movie actually tries to deeply and genuinely understand Andy. Not once. When you watch it with that in mind, it stops being just a story about a girl working hard at a toxic company. It turns into this actually kind of terrifying story about what happens when everybody blindly believes their own version of right. On the surface, it's a success story everybody knows. A young woman survives intense pressure, grows up, and walks away on her own 2 feet. That's a narrative people like, but watching this for the first time as a guy pushing 40, honestly, I didn't see growth so much as I just felt isolation because every single character is trapped inside their own version of reality, and none of those realities ever actually overlap. Let me start with the workplace. Miranda, Emily, Nigel, they aren't just bad people. They ended up this way because they survived in a system where endurance is rewarded. And the scary thing is, somewhere along the line, their means of survival replaced absolute truth. Take Miranda, she doesn't think she's being unreasonable for a single second. In her world, the weak disappear, the strong adopt, results are everything. So whether Andy is having dinner with her dad or there's a literal hurricane outside, she demands the impossible. To her, it makes perfect logical sense. She's not being cruel. In a way, she's just being incredibly consistent with the only reality she trusts. Emily is the same. She believes if I survive this hell, it will all pay off. Think about the scene where she's literally starving herself, eating a cube of cheese just to fit into a dress for Paris. Right before she gets hit by a car, she is actively reshaping her body, her health, and her identity to fit the system. And then there's Nigel. He's the most interesting to me. He's not cruel. He actually shows Andy moments of genuine kindness, but think about the context of his most famous scene. Andy just got coldly dismantled by Miranda. She runs into Nigel's room on the verge of tears looking for a shred of human empathy. And what does he say? He drops the line, "A million girls would kill for this job." It sounds like tough love, but really, it's a generalization of pain. It's basically saying other girls would endure this, so your personal pain doesn't matter. That's not guidance, that's a normalization of suffering. But what makes the movie even more uncomfortable for me are the private scene. These are the people who are supposed to care for Andy the most. Her boyfriend, her friends, her dad, but I feel like they're cornering her in a completely different way. They all tell her you should quit, but if you look closely, not a single one of them actually asks why she is trying so hard to stay in that environment. When I was watching this part of the movie, honestly, it hit incredibly close to home. I'm a CGI artist, and especially back in my younger years, the hours were absolutely brutal. Pulling all-nighters, going to the studio every single weekend, that wasn't an exception. That was just the baseline. Looking back, the hardest part wasn't the physical exhaustion. It was the fact that I couldn't explain my world to anyone outside of it. CGI is such a niche industry. I would try to explain to my friends why I had to cancel our plans again or why the technical schedules were so unforgiving. But it just never translated. Eventually they stopped asking, and over time a lot of those friendships just quietly faded away. It's a very specific type of loneliness. I even remember my own younger sister once telling me that she didn't know how to explain to people what her brother actually did for a living. Hearing that, it felt like a very polite, indirect way of her saying, "Why are you dedicating your life to something so weird and pointless?" I'll be honest, even now, I still carry a bit of complex about that time in my life. That feeling that my hard work means absolutely nothing to the outside world. So when I watch Andy's friend mock her at the restaurant, playfully snatching her ringing phone out of her hand, or when her boyfriend Nate gets mad at her over a grilled cheese sandwich because she's late again, it's not just movie drama to me. It's real. They don't see her effort. They just think, "We think your job is meaningless, therefore it is meaningless." So what about our protagonist Andy? At a glance, she looks like a pitiful victim, but she isn't just a victim. She herself repeatedly makes the choice not to communicate. She doesn't properly explain her situation to Nate. She doesn't hit her friends with her true feelings. She never seriously pushes back against Miranda. Instead, she adopts. She just kills her own ego and tries to get validated by producing her result. She goes from being a victim of the system up to being an active participant in it. Now, if you're a fan of this movie, you might be thinking, hold on, Andy walked away at the end. She threw her phone into the fountain. Isn't that a growth? And sure, visually it looked like a triumph. But if you zoom out, what actually changed? Did she ever manage to have a real dialogue with Miranda? Did she properly resolve things with Nate? Or did they just sweep her under the rug? Not really. She just reached her absolute breaking point and exited the system. The total collapse of dialogue. No one lied and no one was truly evil, but no one listened either, and maybe that's the most realistic part of the film, because in real life you don't always find the perfect answers. You just hit a wall where you can't continue and you leave. So maybe this isn't a story about a success or failure or the fashion industry at all. Maybe it's a terrifying look at how easy it is to live your entire life without being understood, and worse, without ever really trying to be.